On a Tuesday morning in Boston, the phone rang at Rebecca's apartment. The caller ID said Dr. Margaret, her fertility clinic's director.
Rebecca, I am calling to confirm your transfer appointment next Tuesday at 9. You are still available for the procedure?
Rebecca froze, her coffee mug hovering inches from her lips. She had never scheduled a transfer. The word appointment hit her like a cold draft.
Dr. Margaret, there's been a mistake. I didn't book any transfer. I am still saving, still planning. Something is wrong.
That's strange. Our system shows a confirmed appointment and a signed consent form for transfer. Let me read the date. Tuesday, the 14th at 9 a.m.
I didn't sign anything. Pull the file. I need to see every piece of paper attached to my name. Please, Dr. Margaret.
Of course. I'll pull the entire file right now and call you back within the hour. If this isn't your authorization, we have a serious breach.
The call ended. Rebecca stared at the silent phone, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Someone had hijacked her most private medical decision.
How could someone book a transfer in my name? My embryos. My future. I need to know who did this.
She didn't know yet that the person who stole her contract was closer than she could imagine. As the minutes crawled, Rebecca's thoughts spiraled back 2 years, to the day that nearly took everything. The thyroid cancer had been caught early, but the treatment posed a direct threat, fertility-destroying radiation. She was 32, single, and faced with an impossible choice: lose her chance at future motherhood, or delay cancer treatment. She made the hard call. She froze 2 precious embryos before starting radiation. Every injection, every monitoring appointment, every dollar. She pushed through because she believed a future family was worth any fight. A year later, remission. The cancer was gone, but those 2 embryos remained suspended in time, waiting. Rebecca had been rebuilding, saving every cent, her body finally strong enough to carry a child.
Those embryos are my only chance. I won't let anyone take them from me.
Now that future was under attack from an invisible enemy. The callback from Dr. Margaret couldn't come fast enough. She couldn't know yet that the betrayal she was about to uncover would come from her own family. The phone rang again, the sound sharp in the quiet apartment. Dr. Margaret's name lit up the screen, and Rebecca answered before the second ring.
Rebecca, I have your file open. There's a contract amendment here that I need you to hear about, dated 3 months ago. It assigns gestational rights to a woman named Jessica. The signature looks like yours. I'm reading from the scanned copy now.
Jessica, that's my younger sister. I never signed anything like that. Something is terribly wrong.
This is highly irregular. If you didn't authorize this, it constitutes possible fraud and a HIPAA violation. We must investigate immediately.
Send me a copy of that amendment right now. I need to see every detail with my own eyes.
Dr. Margaret emailed the scanned document. Rebecca opened the attachment with trembling hands. On page 2, a signature mirrored her own, too precisely.
That's not my hand. But who could have gotten close enough to forge it?
The amendment listed Jessica as the designated recipient, using Rebecca's own address and insurance details. The date stamp was from 3 months prior. She was staring at proof that someone inside her family had tried to steal her unborn child. She opened her laptop, hands still shaking from the shock. The amendment document sat open on her coffee table.
If Jessica could forge my signature, she had to see my clinic emails first. How?
She scrolled back through months of her email inbox. No alert seemed out of place until she checked the security notifications. One email, nearly buried, was from her Apple ID service. Your account was used to sign in on an iPhone 6 dated weeks before the amendment.
I haven't used an iPhone 6 in years. That was Jessica's old phone. We shared an Apple ID back then.
The old family Apple ID had never been properly disconnected. Jessica still had access.
She's been reading every clinic email, watching my appointments, my test results, for months.
The digital trail made it clear this wasn't a one-time impulse. It was a campaign of surveillance.
My own sister. She took my address, my insurance, my name, and she almost took my child.
The full weight of the betrayal began to settle, cold and heavy, as she realized how close Jessica had come to succeeding. She grabbed her keys and drove to Jessica's apartment without a warning call. The drive felt like a single held breath. When she knocked, the door opened to a startled Jessica. Her sister's smile dropped the moment she saw Rebecca's expression.
We need to talk now. Step back inside.
Rebecca, what's going on? You are scaring me. Did something happen?
Without a word, Rebecca held up her phone. The scanned amendment filled the screen, gestational rights assigned to Jessica with a forged signature.
Explain this. You used my name, my insurance. You tried to book a transfer appointment with my embryos.
I didn't think you'd find out. I was desperate. Years of failed treatments. You had 2 frozen. I just wanted one.
You tracked my clinic emails through our old Apple ID. For months. That wasn't desperation. That was premeditated theft.
I know it was wrong. I am so sorry. I thought if I could just carry one, you might understand. I wasn't thinking.
Jessica collapsed into a chair, sobbing, and the full truth spilled out. The forged signature, the stolen address, the transfer appointment scheduled under her sister's name. Jessica's sobs didn't stop with the forgery. She laid out every cold detail of her plan.
I read every email. I knew your appointments, your test results. For months, I watched everything. I used your insurance card on file and your address. I thought I could slip in unnoticed. You had 2 embryos. I've had 4 miscarriages. I told myself you'd never even miss one.
Rebecca stood motionless, the weight of the surveillance crushing her chest. Without a word, she turned toward the door. Her hand was on the knob when Jessica screamed.
I need time. I can't look at you. I need to think about what you've done.
Please, tell me how to fix this. I'll do anything. I am begging you.
The door closed. Jessica's sobs faded as Rebecca descended the stairs. She drove home in a daze, the city a blur, and sat alone in the dark of her apartment. The phone shattered the silence. The screen glowed with a name Rebecca dreaded, Patricia. Her mother never called past sundown.
Mom, what's wrong?
I just spoke with Jessica. She's beside herself. What did you do to your sister?
What I did. She forged my signature, stole my medical records, and tried to use my embryos without my consent.
She made a mistake because she's heartbroken. You have 2 embryos, Rebecca. She's your own blood. Family forgives.
A mistake is 3 months of planning. This was calculated. It's a crime, Mom, not a family squabble.
Don't you dare call it a crime. You are going to tear this family apart over biology. I raised you better than this.
You raised me? You are protecting the sister who tried to rob me of my future child.
If you go to the police, you destroy this family. Is that what you want? To be alone?
The call clicked dead. Rebecca sat in the darkness, the silence heavier than her mother's words. She had never felt more alone. The night passed in restless fragments. By dawn, the choice had already hardened inside her.
I can't let this go. If I don't stop her, she might try again. Next time, I might not find out in time.
At 9 o'clock, she called Dr. Margaret and formally reported the HIPAA breach. The clinic would now treat it as a criminal matter.
I'll be filing a police report today. Jessica used my old Apple ID to access my clinic emails and forged the amendment.
By noon, she stood outside the brick precinct. The weight of the folder in her hand felt like evidence of her own shattered trust. Inside, a detective listened in silence as she laid out the printed emails, the forged signature, and the timeline of surveillance.
She used my insurance and address. She scheduled a transfer in my name. I have the Apple ID login record proving access.
The detective slid a complaint form across the metal table. Rebecca read every line once, then twice before picking up the pen. With the ink still wet, the detective told her they had enough to open an active investigation. Rebecca walked out of the precinct into the harsh afternoon light. The line had been crossed. There was no undoing it now. The investigation moved with unexpected speed. IP logs from the clinic portal matched the old Apple ID sign-in from Jessica's apartment. A forensic signature analysis confirmed the amendment was a forgery. The handwriting evidence was irrefutable. Within 5 days, a judge signed a warrant. Officers arrived at Jessica's apartment as she was making tea. She dropped the mug. It shattered on the linoleum as the officers explained the charges.
Please, I didn't mean for this to happen. Can I just call my mother?
She was handcuffed and led out of the building. Neighbors stared as the patrol car pulled away. That evening, Rebecca's phone rang. The detective's voice was calm and factual.
They arrested her today. Identity theft, fraud, AIPA violation. She's in custody. I did this. My sister is in a cell because I made the call.
The booking photo hit the system hours later. Jessica's face, hollow and tear-streaked, stared out from the screen. The case moved swiftly. Jessica's attorney advised her to plead to a misdemeanor to avoid trial. In the brief hearing, she pleaded guilty to identity theft. The court mandated therapy and probation. No jail time. Patricia wept silently from the back row. She never once looked at Rebecca. 3 days later, a letter arrived. Rebecca recognized her mother's handwriting before she even opened it. The letter read, "You have destroyed this family. I hope you can live with yourself. I will not speak to you again until you make this right." Rebecca read it twice, then slowly tore it in half.
She chose my sister over me. Just like that.
That night, she deleted Patricia's number from her phone. The block wasn't rage, it was survival. The family she was born into had drawn a line, and for the first time, she didn't try to erase it. She would not beg for love that had to be chosen over justice. For weeks, grief came in waves. She mourned a sister and mother who were still alive.
But I didn't survive cancer to drown in their betrayal. My embryos are still waiting.
She called the clinic. Dr. Margaret answered with gentle recognition.
Rebecca, your embryos are safe. When you are ready, we're here.
I am ready to schedule my transfer. No amendments, just me. I need to know they're still mine.
The next week, she met Dr. Margaret at the clinic. New consent forms lay on the desk.
Everything is in order. The forged amendment is voided. These embryos are yours alone, Rebecca.
Then, let's do this. Earliest date possible. I've waited long enough.
She signed the forms, circling the 2nd of November on the calendar in red ink. The transfer was set. For the first time in months, she felt quiet peace. Over the following weeks, Rebecca turned her spare room into a nursery with fierce determination.
This room will be my child's. No one will steal that future from me.
She painted the walls pale pink, sanded the floor, and assembled a white crib by hand. A rocking chair and a small wooden shelf joined the room, completing the quiet, hopeful space. On the shelf, she placed a framed photograph of her grandmother, Anna, the woman who had shown her what family meant.
She would have fought for me. So, I'll fight for this child.
Each brushstroke, each screw turned was an act of defiance against the family that had tried to break her. As the transfer date neared, she packed a small bag for the clinic, comfortable clothes, a book, and a lucky charm. The night before, she lit a candle in the nursery and imagined the sound of a lullaby. She was ready. Whatever happened next would happen on her terms. The morning of November 2nd dawned cold and clear. Rebecca dressed in layers, her lucky charm tucked in her pocket. She arrived at the clinic alone, a choice that felt like power, not loneliness.
I'm here for my transfer, Rebecca.
A nurse led her to a small room. Rebecca changed into a hospital gown, her heart beating a slow, steady rhythm.
This is your embryo, Rebecca. We're transferring it now. Just breathe.
On the ultrasound screen, a faint light pulsed. Rebecca squeezed the nurse's hand and kept her eyes on that glow.
This is my child. This is my future.
The catheter was guided into place. A silent flash on the monitor marked the moment.
All done, Rebecca. The embryo is safely inside. Now we wait.
The procedure was over in minutes, but the waiting had only just begun. For 10 days, Rebecca moved through her life like a held breath. Every morning, she counted the hours. On the 10th day, she locked the bathroom door and unwrapped the test with trembling fingers. She held the stick to the timer on her phone and closed her eyes, waiting for the chime. When she opened them, 2 unmistakable pink lines had formed.
It's positive. I am pregnant. After everything, a heartbeat.
She slid down the bathroom wall, laughing and sobbing, the test pressed to her lips. After catching her breath, she found her phone and dialed the clinic with fumbling joy.
I had a positive home test. Can I schedule the blood draw? I need to know it's real.
She carried the test into the nursery and set it on the shelf beside her grandmother's photograph.
We did it. Grandma Anna, we did it.
The weeks spun forward. Rebecca's body softened and grew round, her steps slower but surer. At the 20-week scan, she saw a perfect profile on the screen, a tiny hand, a stubborn heartbeat.
A daughter. I knew it the moment I saw her.
One evening, as she read in bed, a flutter came, then a sharp, certain kick.
Hello, Anna. I feel you.
She painted the name Anna in gold letters above the crib, sealing the promise. The nursery was complete. Soft light, folded blankets, and the photograph of grandmother Anna watching over it. With 2 weeks left, she packed a small suitcase, a tiny onesie, a blanket, and her grandmother's photo tucked inside.
Soon, you'll be in my arms. We made it.
She was ready to meet the child she'd fought for, alone yet unshaken. It began at midnight. A sudden pain that stole her breath, and a warmth that told her it was time. She drove herself to the hospital through pounding rain, counting the seconds between contractions. At the entrance, a nurse met her with a wheelchair. Rebecca's hands shook as she signed the forms.
I am doing this alone, but I am doing it.
Through the long hours, she breathed and pushed, her body a storm she finally surrendered to. Just before dawn, a sharp, furious cry filled the room. A nurse laid the squalling baby on Rebecca's chest. The world stopped.
You are here. You are really here.
She counted 10 tiny fingers, the wisps of blonde hair, the impossible weight of her own heart. The child she had fought for, the child who should never have been threatened, was finally in her arms. The morning light crept through the hospital blinds, and the clamor of the world outside fell away.
After everything, you are here, and you'll have the name that means the most.
She reached for the framed photograph on the bedside table. Grandmother Anna, whose love had been her only anchor.
Anna, your name is Anna. You carry the only name from her family that never broke her.
Then she lifted her phone and typed a simple message to a close friend. The text read, "Anna is here. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. We're safe." She set the phone aside and didn't glance at Patricia's number. That line was drawn forever.
My family is right here. This is enough.
The legacy of the grandmother, who had shown her real love, now had a new heartbeat. 2 weeks after the birth, the mail slot clattered. A plain envelope lay on the floor, addressed in her mother's sharp cursive. Rebecca picked it up, her hand steady. She already knew the weight of the words inside. The letter read, "I hear you named her after my mother. I want to see my granddaughter. Call me when you are ready to be reasonable."
Not a single word of remorse. No mention of what Jessica did. Just a demand wrapped in my grandmother's name.
She glanced at Anna, asleep in the bassinet beside the rocking chair, her tiny fingers curled.
You will never know the people who tried to erase you before you took your first breath. That's not punishment, it's protection.
She folded the letter twice, then crossed to the coffee table.
No reply is the only reply.
The drawer clicked shut. She walked back to the nursery and lifted Anna into her arms. The house held only the sounds of a lullaby and a heartbeat, and that was enough. The months folded into a gentle rhythm. Anna turned 4 months old. her gummy smile the sun around which Rebecca's days turned. She captured the moment with her phone, Anna on the playmat, reaching up, laughing at nothing at all. Rebecca printed the photo and slipped it into a simple frame. She set it on the nursery shelf, right beside the black and white picture of grandmother Anna.
2 Annas, 1 heartbeat. This is enough.
The days flowed in quiet cycles, feeding, rocking, humming lullabies her grandmother had once sung to her. One afternoon, Anna's tiny hand reached out, her fingers brushing the old photograph on the shelf.
She knows. Somehow, she knows who her family is.
Rebecca scooped her up and settled into the rocking chair, the sunset painting the walls gold. The room held only the sound of her breathing and the certainty that this was the family she had fought for, and won. Now, when Rebecca looked out the window at the city lights, she often thought of the last voice she'd heard from that old life. It had been Patricia, more than a year ago, the day she filed the police report. The words had been sharp. "You destroy this family." Then silence, complete and forever.
At the time, the silence felt like a death. Now it just felt quiet.
Jessica had not tried to reach her since the hearing. No letters, no calls, no shadow at the door.
I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I just don't need them anymore.
The anger had eroded, leaving behind something simpler, the knowledge that she was safe.
Peace isn't the presence of family. It's the absence of fear.
She kissed the top of Anna's head and watched the lights come on across the city. This was her life now. No drama, no betrayal, just a night sky and a sleeping child. One sunny afternoon, golden light spilled across the living room rug, and Anna took her first determined crawl toward Rebecca. Rebecca leaned forward, arms wide, her voice a soft cheer as tiny knees shuffled closer. She scooped Anna up mid-crawl, spinning her gently in a circle of laughter.
Every inch you conquer is a victory you were nearly denied.
She carried Anna to the nursery shelf, where an old stuffed bunny sat beside the 2 framed photographs. 2 faces from 2 generations. The grandmother who fought for her, and the daughter she fought to bring into the world.
We made it, all 3 of us.
Then Rebecca smiled. A full, unguarded smile that finally reached her eyes. There was no bitterness left, no weight of what had been stolen or lost. In the quiet of the nursery, the story ended, not with a battle cry, but with a daughter's hand on her mother's cheek, and a future finally free. The last of the afternoon light gave way to a deep indigo dusk outside Rebecca's window. She shifted Anna to her hip and stared out at the glittering city below. Countless lights blinked back at her, each one a life, but none holding any power over hers any longer. She let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding, and her shoulders finally dropped. She leaned her cheek against her daughter's soft hair and let the world outside stay outside. She named her Anna, after the grandmother who taught her that real family doesn't betray, it stays. And under the deepening sky, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned. She didn't need the family who had tried to undo her. She had the one she'd built, and it was unbreakable. The city hummed on, indifferent and eternal. But inside that room, the war was over, and the only sound that mattered was a daughter's heartbeat, steady and safe, against her mother's own.